All right, let's do this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we like to, well, dive deep into all sorts of interesting topics.
Exactly. We take the plunge and see what we can uncover.
And today, we're all about senior sales executives.
Those folks at the top of the sales game.
We've got this awesome Indeed article from Indeed.com UK, all about what hiring managers look for when they're interviewing for this role.
It's like a roadmap to landing that top job.
So whether you're actually prepping for an interview or just curious about what it takes to climb that sales ladder,
Or maybe you just want to know what your boss is supposed to be doing, right?
that's always good intel. We're going to break down the skills, the strategies, and even that super important mindset you need to thrive.
That's what this article is all about. It's not just about being good at sales. It's about being exceptional.
Okay, so the article starts off by highlighting three key areas that interviewers are really zeroing in on, and those are leadership
Strategic thinking.
and, of course, a proven track record.
Those are the big three.
But I'm guessing it's not enough to just stroll into an interview and say, hey, I'm a fantastic leader.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not. You've got to actually prove it.
You got to walk the walk.
Show, don't tell, right?
Exactly. And the article really dives into that. For example, when it talks about leadership in sales, it's not about barking orders.
Micromanaging every little thing. Yeah, no.
It's more about, and I love this phrase, harnessing diverse talents to achieve a common goal.
Think about it, right? You've got a sales team full of individuals, each with their own strengths.
Some are closers, some are amazing at building relationships, some are super technical,
A senior sales exec needs to bring all those strengths together.
like a conductor leading an orchestra.
Absolutely. Making sure everyone's playing in harmony and hitting those high notes.
Okay, so we get the concept, but I bet the article has some real-world examples of what this actually looks like in action, right?
It totally does. It gets into specific interview questions.
Oh, the dreaded interview questions.
And these are the kind of questions that can really trip you up if you're not prepared.
So let's hear one. Give us a taste of what we might be up against.
Okay, imagine you're in the hot seat, palms sweating.
Oh, I can feel it already.
And the interviewer says, how do you motivate your sales team during a slow period?
That's a tough one.
Because sales can be like a roller coaster, right?
Ups and downs, feasts and famines.
Exactly. And those slow periods, those can really hit morale hard.
So what's the magic formula? What does the article suggest?
Well, the sample answer they give really emphasizes short-term goals. Think quick wins to keep the team engaged and feeling that sense of accomplishment.
So instead of just focusing on that massive annual target that seems impossible to reach when things are slow,
You break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
weekly challenges, daily goals.
Maybe even a little friendly competition to spice things up.
Oh, I like that. So it's all about reframing that big picture into smaller, more achievable milestones.
It's giving them something to strive for right now, today.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about professional development? That often gets put on the back burner when sales are slow.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But actually, this article suggests doing the opposite.
Really? Why is that?
Well, think about it. When else would your team have the time to really hone their skills?
When they're not frantically trying to close deals.
Exactly. Slow periods are the perfect time to invest in your team, send them to workshops, have them get certifications, really dive into that new sales methodology.
So you're turning a potentially negative situation into an opportunity for growth.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're boosting morale in the short term, but you're also investing in the long-term success of your team.
That is brilliant. I love that approach. Okay, so that's one tough question down. What other curveballs does this article throw our way?
All right, here's a classic, and you've probably faced this yourself. Describe a time when you turned a persistent objection into a sale.
Ooh, I can feel the tension already.
That one client who just wouldn't budge no matter what.
Every salesperson has a story like that, right? So how do we handle it? What does the article suggest?
It's all about showcasing long-term value over short-term cost.
So instead of getting defensive or caving on price,
You stay calm, you walk the client through the return on investment, that ROI.
hold on. For some of our listeners who might not be as familiar with that term, could you break down what ROI means?
Sure. ROI is basically a way to measure how profitable an investment is.
So in this sales scenario, you're showing the client how, yes, there's an upfront cost.
But in the long run, they're going to save money or generate more revenue.
You're quantifying the value, maybe even projecting those future gains.
Right, painting that bigger picture.
So you're shifting the focus from that initial sticker shock to the long-term benefits.
And that ties right back to strategic thinking.
Being that chess player, thinking several moves ahead.
A senior sales exec isn't just trying to close today's deal. They're building a lasting relationship.
Planting seeds for future success.
Exactly. It's understanding the client's business needs and demonstrating how your solution is a strategic investment, not just an expense.
Awesome. Okay, let's tackle one more tough interview question before we move on. How about this one? How do you handle stress and pressure in a sales environment?
Oh, good one.
Because let's be real, sales can be high pressure.
It's not for the faint of heart.
So how do you not just survive, but actually thrive in that environment? What does the article say?
Well, their sample answer breaks it down into two key areas. First, it's those practical skills like time management and prioritization.
Being super organized, efficient, able to juggle a million things at once.
That's essential. But it's not just about being a taskmaster.
There's got to be a mental aspect to it too, right?
Absolutely. The article also highlights the importance of a thriving under pressure mindset.
Not just surviving, but actually thriving in that high-stakes world.
Exactly. These are the folks who stay solution-oriented even when things get tough.
They don't crack under pressure, they use it as fuel.
And that kind of resilience, that's contagious, right?
Yeah, it sets the tone for the whole team.
It shows everyone that we can handle anything that comes our way.
That's such a powerful insight. So we've seen how a senior sales exec can tackle those tough interview questions.
And we've seen some of those skills they need to have.
But what about the bigger picture? What does it really take to succeed in this role beyond just acing the interview?
That's where we start to get to the heart of what truly sets senior sales executives apart.
And I think that's what we should dive into next.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we've covered those tough interview questions, how to knock them out of the park.
And we've talked about some of those essential skills for senior sales execs.
Right, like being able to motivate your team even when things are slow.
Thinking strategically.
Handling those curveballs that come your way.
Exactly. But this Indeed article, it doesn't stop there. It really paints a bigger picture of success.
It goes beyond just closing deals, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is about more than just hitting those numbers.
It's about building those lasting relationships, both with clients and within your team.
Shifting from that transactional mindset to a relationship-focused one.
Because at the end of the day, if you treat every interaction like it's just about getting that signature on the dotted line,
You're not going to have many repeat customers, are you?
nope, they'll see right through that.
Yeah.
So how does a senior sales executive actually do that? How do they build that trust and loyalty? Does the article give us any concrete examples?
It does. One thing it highlights is prioritizing client satisfaction.
Even above those short-term sales gains.
Sometimes, even if it means losing a sale in the moment.
Wait, really?
Yeah, let's say a client comes to you with a problem, but your product just isn't the right fit.
A less experienced sales rep might try to force it just to close that deal.
But a senior sales exec, they take a different approach. They're honest with the client.
Even if it means recommending a competitor's product.
Exactly. They're upfront about the limitations, maybe even suggest a better alternative, even if it's not their own.
That's a bold move. Seems counterintuitive, but I can see how it would build that trust in the long run.
It shows you're genuinely invested in the client's success, not just your own commission check.
And that kind of integrity, that goes a long way.
It's all about building those long-term relationships, not just chasing quick wins.
And that ties back to that strategic thinking we talked about earlier. A senior sales executive is playing chess, not checkers.
Thinking 5 steps ahead, always considering the bigger picture.
And that strategic thinking extends to team management as well.
Oh, for sure. The article talks about how senior sales execs are responsible not just for hitting targets, but for fostering the growth of their team members.
So it's not just about being a top performer yourself, it's about lifting up everyone around you.
Creating that culture of success where everyone feels empowered to reach their full potential.
Investing in your team's development, providing mentorship, creating a supportive environment.
It's recognizing that your success is directly tied to the success of your team.
And I bet that approach pays off big time in the long run, both in terms of team performance and just keeping great people on board.
Absolutely. People want to work for leaders who invest in them, who challenge them to grow, and who create a positive and supportive culture.
Okay, so we've talked about the mindset, those key interview skills, and the big picture approach to success. But what about the day-to-day? What does a senior sales executive actually do?
Well, the article's FAQ section gives us a little peek behind the curtain.
And I'm guessing it's not all glamorous lunches and closing multi-million-dollar deals.
There's definitely a lot more to it than that.
I'm imagining a whirlwind of meetings, presentations, Client calls,
A never-ending inbox.
late nights poring over spreadsheets.
You're not wrong. It's a multifaceted role for sure.
So walk us through it. What are some of those key responsibilities?
Well, it starts with developing and implementing those sales strategies, setting those big picture goals.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's not all just high-level planning.
Right. Nope. You're also managing a team, coaching them, providing guidance, making sure everyone's on track.
So you need those leadership skills we were talking about earlier.
And of course, you're still involved in those key client relationships, building that rapport, negotiating those big deals.
It's a mix of strategic thinking, hands-on leadership, and good old-fashioned relationship building.
Sounds about right. And don't forget about staying ahead of the curve. The article mentions analyzing market trends, identifying those new opportunities.
So you're not just managing the present, you're shaping the future.
Exactly. You've got to be adaptable, proactive, always looking for ways to innovate and stay one step ahead of the competition.
Always be learning, right? That's key in any field, but especially in sales.
And that constant evolution is reflected in the potential career path for a senior sales executive.
There's room to grow, even at that senior level.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The article talks about how the natural next step is often a move into a sales director role.
So you're expanding your leadership beyond just individual teams.
You're taking on a broader strategic vision for the entire sales department.
So instead of just focusing on your team's performance, you're thinking about the company's overall sales strategy.
It's a big jump, but it's a natural progression for someone who's demonstrated those key leadership skills, that strategic thinking, and the ability to build strong relationships.
They've proven they can handle the pressure, inspire a team, and drive sustainable success.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from those nitty-gritty interview questions to the big picture vision of what it means to be a successful senior sales executive. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from this deep dive?
For me, it's that emphasis on the holistic nature of success in sales. It's not just about hitting those numbers, though that's obviously important.
Right, it's about so much more than that.
It's about building those genuine relationships, fostering growth within your team, and creating a positive and sustainable sales culture.
And that's something that really resonates with me too. It's a reminder that sales, at its heart, is about human connection, about building lasting value.
Absolutely. Now, there was one more point in the article that I found really intriguing.
Oh, what was that?
It mentioned creative strategies for closing sales.
Ooh, I like where this is going. So we're talking about thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Especially at the senior level, you're often faced with unique challenges, complex deals that require innovative solutions.
You've got to be adaptable, come up with those out-of-the-box strategies.
It's like being a sales detective, right? You're gathering clues, connecting the dots, and crafting that compelling narrative that resonates with the client.
I love that analogy. And sometimes that means ditching the standard playbook and coming up with something truly unique.
A bespoke solution tailored to that specific client's needs.
So for our listeners out there who are eager to climb that sales ladder and maybe one day become a senior sales executive themselves, what advice would you give them for developing those creative sales muscles?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say cultivate a deep understanding of your target audience.
Really get to know them, their pain points, their aspirations.
The more you know about their needs and motivations, the better equipped you'll be to tailor a solution that truly resonates.
It's all about that personalized touch, showing them you understand their challenges and you're not just trying to make a quick sale.
You're offering a solution that will genuinely help them achieve their goals.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right?
Exactly. Try new approaches, test different messaging, see what works.
The more you experiment, the better you'll become at identifying what resonates and refining your creative strategies.
And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will come up with the next groundbreaking sales strategy.
Wouldn't that be awesome? It's a reminder that even in a field as established as sales, there's always room for innovation and fresh perspectives.
Absolutely. Now, before we get too carried away dreaming up those creative sales pitches, I think it's important to bring things back down to earth for a moment.
Oh, right, because not every sale is going to be a slam dunk.
Exactly. Rejection is part of the game.
It's inevitable. So how do you handle that? What does the article say?
It emphasizes grace and professionalism, even when you're disappointed.
So no table flipping or storming out of the room?
Probably not the best look. The article suggests using rejection as a learning opportunity.
Okay, so take that feedback, analyze what went wrong, and refine your approach for next time.
It's all about having that growth mindset, recognizing that every interaction, whether it's a win or a loss, is a chance to learn and improve.
And that's crucial for anyone in sales, no matter where you are on your journey.
Couldn't agree more. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to touch on one last point that the article briefly mentioned.
What's that?
The role of customer service in strategic selling.
Ah, yes. Because it's not just about closing that initial deal, it's about providing that ongoing support exceeding expectations even after the ink is dry.
Because a happy customer is a repeat customer, and maybe even a brand advocate.
They'll sing your praises from the rooftops.
Exactly. And at the senior sales executive level, you're not just responsible for those individual sales, you're building those lasting relationships that benefit the company as a whole.
It's about thinking beyond that immediate transaction and cultivating that customer-centric approach.
And that's what sets those top-performing senior sales executives apart. They understand that sales isn't just pushing products or services.
It's about building trust, fostering loyalty, creating genuine value for the customer.
Well said. This Indeed article has been a goldmine of insights.
It really has. And now we want to hear from you, our listener. What aspects of this role resonate most with you? What challenges do you anticipate? And most importantly, what creative strategies can you envision yourself implementing to achieve success in this dynamic and demanding field? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. We're always eager to continue the conversation and hear from our listeners.
And on that note, we'll sign off for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of senior sales executives.
Until next time.
You know, it's amazing how much we've covered.
I know, right?
Just from this one Indeed article.
So many great insights.
It's really given us a blueprint for what it takes to not just be a senior sales executive,
But to really excel in that role.
and for our listener who's maybe thinking about this as a career path.
Thinking about taking that next step.
I think the article makes it clear that it's a journey, not a destination.
You've got to be ready to learn and adapt constantly.
Because the sales world, it's always changing.
Evolving at lightning speed.
Because you can't just rest on your laurels. You got to stay curious, embrace those challenges.
Just pushing yourself to level up.
And I think the article did a fantastic job of laying out those skills.
Those strategies, that all-important mindset.
But it also, and I think this is key, emphasized the impact that a senior sales executive can have.
They're not just hitting numbers in a silo.
Right, they're leading teams, they're forging those relationships, they're contributing to the success of the entire organization.
And maybe even beyond that.
You're right, remember that part about identifying new market opportunities?
Yeah, that got me thinking about the future of sales.
Me too. It's almost like a challenge to our listeners out there.
What's next?
What are those emerging trends, those untapped markets?
Just waiting for a savvy senior sales exec to come along and disrupt things.
That's a question worth pondering.
Because the best sales leaders, they're not just reacting to the market, they're anticipating it.
Shaping it, creating those new possibilities.
That's what makes it so exciting.
And that's what I love about these deep dives.
It's not just about understanding where we are now,
It's about sparking those ideas for the future.
planting those seeds.
Who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the one to pioneer the next groundbreaking sales strategies.
I wouldn't be surprised. We've got some smart listeners out there.
We do. So on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Time to come up for air.
It's been an awesome exploration of the world of senior sales executives with so many valuable insights.
Thanks to that Indeed article.
Listener, wherever you are in your sales journey,
Whether you're just starting out,
or you're already a seasoned pro,
we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and inspiration you need to reach those goals.
keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those sales fires burning bright.
Until next time.